belief that it is worth it to make the world a better place. And who better to first introduce you to their stories than Grammy-nominated, multi-platinum selling singer-songwriter and L'Oreal Paris spokesperson, Camila Cabello.
I'm a little caught off guard because I was reading the program and I thought Helen Mirren was going first. And now I'm actually relieved because I thought I had to moderate after you, which is great. It's such an honor to be here with you all to recognize these inspiring, powerful, and hardworking women. Everybody, give them a round of applause again. I feel so lucky and so excited to be in conversation with these honorees. Whether you're affected personally or know someone who's experiencing these challenges, the reality is that so many people around the country are in crisis, and there are still major stigmas with asking for help, and many are forced to face these obstacles with little support. And it's so important that we continue these conversations, which is why I'm so glad to be here today with these incredible leaders who are on the front lines every day. It's my pleasure to introduce them to you tonight. When Jasmine Babers was a teen, she founded a magazine at her high school to prompt confidence in her friends. This was the beginning of Love Girls magazine, a way to empower young women through self-love, social justice, and self-worth. Here is Jasmine's story. Early in Shannon McPeak's career as an ICU nurse, she noticed how easily fatigued she and her colleagues were. Burnout was happening at an accelerated pace with no resources in sight. This is when Operation Happy Nurse was formed. Here is Shannon's inspiring story. All right. When Jeannie Lobato was in high school, she experienced traumatic events and found out how much comfort artistic self-expression brought her while healing from her trauma. This kickstarted Draw Change, a way to empower, inspire, and transform children through art. Here is Jeannie's story. Welcome, Jeannie! Give it up for these amazing women! Their stories are so inspiring, and we are going to delve even deeper into this important topic of mental health. I have so many questions. Jasmine, it's amazing to me that you saw your friends suffering with cyberbullying and you proactively created a tangible way for them to see themselves differently. Love Girls magazine is all about validation. So can you share a specific memory of when your own perception of yourself changed and you began to feel more secure in your own worth, and what triggered that for you?
So much of my life experience is interconnected to Love Girls magazine's why and our mission. I go back to these moments where people were invested in me, where people said yes to me. Actually, my mom was my first yes. She's over there. Shout out to my mama. I was a sophomore in high school, and people I loved were taking hits to their self-esteem left and right. I was taking hits to my self-esteem left and right. Yeah. And I went up to my mom and I was like, I want to start a nonprofit. And she was like, She was like, maybe go to prom, get a degree, a couple degrees, and then we can talk about nonprofits. But
it's like the last thing you would expect a teenager to say.
You know, I was 15, but she saw my passion though. Yeah. You know, and she was recognizing my talents. And she was like, actually, yes. You know, I will help you.
Wow.
And that's kind of like what we try to do with our girls. Like, we're like, yes, you do have a voice. Yes. Totally. You know, yes, you do matter. You have value, you know? And that changed my life, my mom saying yes to me.
That's super cool. So Shannon, working as a nurse during COVID, you shared that your work-related anxiety started even before the pandemic. So can you tell us about when you ultimately realized that you needed to advocate for yourself to improve your mental health? Like, what was the moment that you were like, oh, I need to do something about this. Like, this is not okay.
So I started my career in 2016, and I started in the neonatal ICU. I had never really had to deal with death before, and then all of a sudden I was coping with the death of infants, and that was extremely difficult for me. But it wasn't even just that was hard. It was the pressure that you're under as a nurse. You're there for 12 and a half hours straight. You're the last line of defense. My fear of making an error or of missing something just got so strong that I decided that I didn't want to be human per se anymore, that I wanted to become more machine-like. I started having personality withdrawal. I started showing signs and symptoms of obsessive compulsive disorder. And it took a friend telling me that if I didn't make changes, I was going to lose people in my life. So I started researching a ton of different stress relievers. I started talking to other nurses, and I realized that my story, in fact, wasn't unique. That, in fact, it was a massive problem in the nursing profession, and this was before COVID. So like you said, working in COVID has caused a lot of trauma for people. It has gotten worse, but it has always been there. So that's one of the reasons I'm so grateful for L'Oreal Paris, because they're allowing me to tell my story and let people know that this is an issue, and together we can fix it and they're not alone.
Yeah, thank you. Jeannie, so seeing how you took a painful moment in your life, how you transformed that moment into something beautiful that others can utilize for their own trauma is so inspiring. So what principles from your art have you been able to use in your work with kids today?
Well, I always tell them there's no mistakes in art, and I firmly believe that. I believe you can turn any little incident in your life into something beautiful. When we work with children that are unhoused or children that are seeking asylum or refugee children, they're in a situation that's unfavorable, and we don't discount that. We let them know, we acknowledge that you're here, you don't want to be here, and we can still think about what we want to be in life. I was abused as a child, and every single time that I was confused and I wasn't sure what was going on, I would draw and I would paint. And in that moment, things just made sense. So that's what I bring to them, that moment of presence.
That's beautiful. Well, the work you're all doing every day is so tremendous. Thank you guys so much. This was really inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it.